I used to sit around waiting for someone to believe in me. You know, I think we could all feel this too, especially for the guy struggling to find some like self-worth, self-esteem. Waiting for my boss to recognize my potential, my girlfriend to support my dreams, my buddies to stop making jokes about my goals, or my parents finally saying that they were proud of me. And while I was waiting for all that validation, my life just got stuck in neutral. I had to learn the hard way. If I don't believe in myself, why should anyone else? And honestly, why do I even need them to? I had this whole thing backwards. I thought other people believing in me comes first. Then I started taking myself seriously. But that's not how it works at all, actually. We believe in ourselves first, then we act like it, and then maybe other people will notice. But by then, we don't even need their approval anymore because we've already proven it to ourselves. And I bet we all have done this before. You get some sort of idea. Maybe you start a business or get in shape or you're learning something new. And what's the first thing most of us do? We go around telling everyone about it, hoping they'll get excited for us, with us. And I used to explain my whole plan to my friends, ask my girlfriend what she thought. I was basically waiting for someone to say, "That's awesome, you should totally do that." And when they didn't react the way I hoped, I took it as a sign that maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all. I started doubting myself. And looking back, I was giving other people way too much power over my life. I was asking them to give me permission to chase my own dreams. And most people don't believe in anything that requires effort or takes risks. They're comfortable being average. So when we talk about doing something bigger, it makes them uncomfortable. Their doubt isn't about what we do or what we can do. It's just their own stuff. It's their own bullshit. So what I learned is that when we stop waiting for other people to push us and start pushing ourselves, that's when everything starts to change. I found out I was a lot tougher than I thought. And I realized I could motivate myself when something actually mattered to me. I figured out I didn't need a cheerleader. I just needed some discipline, some excitement, passion about something. The guys I know who actually accomplish stuff aren't the ones with the most supportive friends. Oftentimes they have nothing, no support group. They're just the ones that decide to support themselves. Okay, they didn't sit around for motivation from others because they get that motivation comes and goes. It's not something you constantly have. What matters is showing up consistently, especially when nobody's watching, nobody's cheering you on, and nobody really gives a fuck whether you succeed or fail. That's just the brutal truth of this. Talk is cheap. Everyone talks. Hardly anybody does anything. And that's when you actually find out what you're made of. When I relied on other people to believe me, I was also giving them the power to stop believing in me. My confidence became dependent on their mood, their opinions, whether they approved or not. That's a terrible way to build anything meaningful. But when I started believing in myself and only myself, nobody could take that shit away from me. Bad day at work? Doesn't matter. My boss's opinion doesn't matter. Friends make a joke about my goals? Doesn't faze me. My partner doesn't get my vision? That's their problem, not mine. And I'm not saying that we should become antisocial, never listen to anybody. Good advice is valuable. Feedback does help you get better. But there's a huge difference between, getting input and needing validation from others. When we truly believe in ourselves, we can take feedback without taking it personal. We can listen to criticism without letting it wreck our entire confidence about what we're trying to do, right? You can learn from other people without fucking needing their approval. The difference is you're just gathering information. You're not asking for permission. That's the difference. And I learned that living with character and discipline means doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching, like keeping your word to yourself, even if breaking it would be easier. All right. Show up for your goals, even when you don't feel like it. That's the most important of all. It's the promise you make to yourself. Real discipline has to come from within. There's no other way. It comes from deciding that our word matters more than anyone else's opinion. And again, when you stop looking for that external validation, literally life changes. Right? Things like making excuses, that shit stops. Waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect timing or perfect conditions or someone's support. None of that shit matters anymore. You just start. You stop explaining your goals to people that don't care. You stop asking permission to chase what you want from people that have way too much power in your life. I became a lot pickier through the years about who I shared my plans with. Instead of telling everyone my intentions, hoping someone would encourage me, I just kept my mouth shut, let my actions do the talking. And then I got comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everybody's supposed to understand the path you take or the dreams you have, right? Not everyone's going to get what you're trying to do, and that's fine. You're not building your life for their understanding, right? Then the real confidence comes. That's when I developed mine. Not the fake shit that comes from other people telling you that you're great, but the solid confidence that comes from proving to yourself that you can handle some difficult shit. And what's funny is that once you stop needing other people to believe in you, they usually started believing in you anyway. That's what happened to me. Success has a way of converting the skeptics, essentially. And by then, I wasn't giving a fuck about their opinions because I learned that the most important thing was this: the only belief that really matters is your own. And look, I get it. We all want the support from family. We all want the support from friends, from our loved ones. You want people in your corner. It's natural. But waiting for someone else to give you permission to chase your dreams, that's a fucking losing goal, bro. No one will feel about it the way you do. So this is a founder's issue too. For every company somebody starts, nobody will ever feel the same way that guy does. The passion that guy has. That's why he founded the company in the first place. So believe in yourself and only yourself. Not because, other people don't matter, but for them, it's optional. Your belief in yourself isn't. It literally affects the outcome of what you're trying to chase. Try to live with some character and some discipline. Show up for your goals even when no one's watching. Keep your word to yourself, even if breaking it would be easier, like I said. All right, do the work. Even when nobody's there to clap for you or appreciate that shit. Those are the days that mean the most, right? And that's how you can guarantee your goal and your dreams. Not through other people's validation, but through their own relentless commitment, right? To becoming who you can be. Yeah. Otherwise, you could see the world's full of people waiting for someone else to believe in them. And the difference between me and a lot of people is just I decided not to be one of those people. And I think for a lot of people here, maybe it's time you guys do the same. And with that, I'll just open it to you guys. Thoughts? You can marinate on it if you want to.
Thought about. No, it's great that you actually mentioning this because I was talking about something a bit of the inverse yesterday. Somebody else that of the power of having at least just one person to believe in you. I know, or I mean, I agree with your point in the sense of having believing in yourself and the discipline and all that stuff. But at least having that one person that believes you get that gives you just that push, it really is a big motivator, at least for me. I know thinking about it that it's not a good idea to have that validation, but it
Mhm.
still does help.
I think,
However, I
yeah,
do agree.
your
I don't.
confidence is a little bit shaky on yourself. That's why it still matters. Look, when you have true belief, true self belief, they're the cherry on top. But right now, the way it works for you is they're the cake and they help give you enough of a boost to get started. But that's also not a great place to be in. It's great to have that kind of support, but if I took it away from you right now, you'd fucking crumble. That's the problem because it's not coming from within on a
Mhm.
deep level, right? So that's the only part that
to play
sucks about it.
devil's
Go
to
ahead.
play devil's advocate. Um, I agree with what you're saying, but I also hear what he's saying too. Uh,
Uh,
for me, I never had anybody believe in me, and again, things were rocky, and sometimes I wonder if of course, there's some issues that I had that came from all of that turmoil, but I wonder if another reason why my self confidence is shaky sometimes, or well, a lot of the time, uh, is because I've never known what that looks like. Any belief in me. Sometimes I wonder if I grew up with a little bit of positive affirmation, as gay as that sounds. I would actually know what that feels like and looks like, and might more easily be able to provide it for myself. Just to play devil's advocate,
Mhm.
sometimes I wonder that.
I understand. It's just that I think fundamentally, when you look at a successful person and they'll tell you, like, what was the critical thing that helped you succeed, it'll be self belief. I never
Yeah,
gave up. I always, but it doesn't matter because you have people that have grown up in incredible support structures. But if their motivation is pinned on the support from their support structure, they fail all the same as somebody in your position that grew up with zero support structure and has to be a self starter, right? The problem is on the internal because you and that other person with all the support don't fully believe in yourselves. You never got a little nudge, a little support for somebody to help boost your confidence. That person got everything and still feels unsure inside. So no matter what, it's external. You're waiting for somebody to approve of what you're doing. That other person right, is doing it in the same fashion with the supports that they already have. But both of you feel internally that, insert whatever negative thought. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I could start this business. I don't know, until daddy tells you it's okay. Mommy and brother and sister tell you it's okay. And your friends tell you it's okay. And then in your end, it's the other extreme. It's like, I don't know if I could start this business. I literally got no social net around me telling me, it's good or not. But the end result's the same. You're both waiting for some external form of validation. This is why, and guys, this is brutal, because I guarantee you, I could almost fucking guarantee you, until you reach this level of, you can call it delusion, whatever it is. I don't know what it takes to hit this it's almost like a rock bottom moment where you stop caring about every single fucking person's opinion and you go for the thing you've always wanted. There's a pain point that we all have. Once you get there, that's when you finally move. And literally what people say, even your closest, don't matter. You don't understand my vision. It's fine. Don't care. You just can't see what I see. It's fine. I don't care. I don't need you to believe in me. Doesn't matter. Don't care. And you make it happen and you get it going. But the problem is, even when, it's almost dangerous sometimes to have a good support system because you rely on them too much. It becomes a crutch, They almost filter your thoughts for you. Imagine the other end, Brian, where you have a good support circle, but until you run shit by that safety net, you won't make a move, right? Because I have to check in with my barometer, my woman, my father, mother, grandparents, sister, brother, blah, blah, blah. And so that stops a lot of people too. Because the moment those people that you use as a barometer tell you, I don't know about this idea, what do you think happens to that person? It completely deflates them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, along with not having a support system, like anybody who, or at least anybody who expressed that they believed in me, it was also on the other extreme that there were a lot of times that I was shamed or put down for the things that I had interest in, the things that I wanted to do, the things that I cared about. And a lot of that shame and like brutal coldness came from, the people who are supposed to love you and support you. I suspect part of it was because my dad, I mean, I know some of it probably came from a good place. He probably didn't want me to make the same mistakes that he did. And maybe he saw a little too much of himself in me at that age. Because I suspect he was a bit like, I don't know, artistic or sensitive or whatever when he was younger. But his father was extraordinarily abusive. And he got it the worst. And so I suspect maybe when he saw, my love for nature and the natural world and wanting to protect that and switching from sports and going into acting and stuff like that, I don't know. Part of me thinks that maybe he was afraid that I was gay or something. And so he started making his tactics even more brutal and cold and shaming certain things. So not only was there a feeling of no support system, but there was also this feeling of this constant iron fist downward. And eventually I started thinking that treatment of myself works. But of course it doesn't. So no support system. And then there's also this brutal iron fist dialogue in my mind that is keeping me in place, basically. It's this broken system that doesn't work, but it's the only thing I know. And I've been trying to figure some other system out that's a more positive thing, like believe in yourself. And I don't know what I'm doing. And so it's easy to feel defeated when you're trying to fix that and have belief in yourself. And you've got that, you're telling yourself this should be fucking easy. Why is this so hard? And I mean, it's sometimes easy to feel defeated when something so that should be so simple feels alien.
Yeah. Feel free to jump in, guys. Give your thoughts.
Hey, sorry, I was doing some work stuff. I've always depended on myself to do my own thing, so I don't. Plus, people tend to fuck it up, so I always depend on myself to do my own thing and do my own shit. Especially if it's something I want to work on. I know no one's going to have the same wanting to get it done type attitude correctly the same way I do. So.
But I think you mentioned something deeper, though. That's surface level. Brian was saying something about, kind of his father trained him in a certain, I guess you could say like mental construct for how he gets. I wouldn't even call it
Well, my
motivated.
mother did too.
Mother, yeah, but it just they trained.
They both
They've installed some
did in their own
software.
ways.
Yeah, you got some software installed that's now your default. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I've never.
man.
I don't know. My dad never really. My dad was too busy working all the time to kind of raise me. So my aunts kind of helped raise me and my sisters.
Mm.
So it took me going to the military to kind of understand, like, oh, okay, this is what it means to be a man, other than my dad working all the time and trying to provide. So
Mm. Yeah, the military will shock you to your core, literally. It's designed to strip you of identity and rebuild you. So,
basically, and
yeah.
I think it did good for me. Some most people I would say it does good for them. Others it could just damage them depending on how they grew up and stuff. So
Yeah.
just depends on how you were raised.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Part of
certainly
me
interesting.
regrets not going into the military, at least for a little bit.
It could still be life changing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude. Paths in life. Try not to live with regret. And I only say that because you can't really see the doors of opportunities all around you right now. Because if you would have went in the military, who knows how you would have ended up. It's just, I don't know. I've had so many like forks in the road in my life that it's cool, little fantasy thing to play in your head. Like, well, what if I would have done that? Would my life been better? It's kind of a useless exercise. Try to focus all your brain power on your current problem, and you'll solve it. Because sometimes you think like, "Fuck, what if I made the wrong decision?" Or God, I should have went that other way. But you could play that game forever, for eternity. Yeah.
My brain has been playing that game forever. It also plays that game with I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this, but one of the things that does fuck with my self-confidence is, and it goes back to that overthinking topic as well. Not only does my mind do that with past decisions or past possible opportunities, but it'll also do it with what's right in front of me. It'll be like, okay, if I do this, and it'll start imagining just all of the ways that it could go wrong. And then I look at this other option and it'll imagine all of the ways that it could go wrong. And I'm constantly trying to weigh which one is the least shitty or the least, the lesser of the evils. And somebody asked me once, it was actually, I think it was AI. But I was asked the question, have you ever looked at what you're trying to solve and wonder about all the ways I could go right? Nope. Never thought about that, pal. And then you start wondering, like, I wonder how I would move through my day-to-day activities if I started viewing things that way. But again, it's another one of those things that feels very alien and quite frankly, a little scary, trying to picture things through a positive lens, because there's that whole fear of hope, because that's one of the main things that felt like it was just opening you up to getting fucked some more. So, yeah. But I think just analyzing that, it seems that one of the first steps toward believing in yourself is checking yourself and making sure you're looking at things with some excitement or wonder about what could go awesome from what you're about to do, instead of all the ways it's going to fuck up your life more and send it down a negative path even more. Because in a way, it might be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
More than likely. Look, you're just taking the wind out of your own sails when you look at the negative potential of anything. Every situation has a negative potential by default and a positive by default. Best case, worst case. That's life. Best case, worst case exists in absolutely everything. So if you're going to attempt something, why not focus 100% of energy on best case? Because if you focus on worst case, pointless. Why prepare for the worst case? Technically, worst case scenario should be a mental note at best. Okay, in case we get to this point, we'll do that. That's about it. But don't have time to worry about that part first, because you actually can see worst case before it actually gets there. You're like, oh shit, once you start something, hey, it's not going well. Oh shit, this is going a lot worse than I thought. And then you could start deliberating about worst case probabilities. Until then, it's best case scenario. And then life just moves you somewhere in the middle of that. You won't hit your ideal, your best case, and you won't hit your worst either. You'll be somewhere in the middle, like finding your way along like a creek. It doesn't go straight. It doesn't flow straight down. It winds around, but still goes in the general direction forward. The flow never stops. It just takes a detour here and there. it's kind of what life is like for success. So yeah, I like to use that one. I was high on mushrooms when I had that idea, and it just blew my mind. I was like, "Fuck, dude, life's like a stream."